Welcome to Storytime. Get ready. Navigate for quick wisdom of countless stories. Let's dive into the world of knowledge together and explore. Once upon a time, in a small, peaceful village nestled in a lush green valley, there lived a curious and adventurous boy named Eddie. Eddie was 10 years old and loved to read books about magical creatures in far-off places. His favorite stories were always about dragons. He dreamt of meeting one someday, but everyone in the village said dragons were just myths. One sunny afternoon, while Eddie was exploring the forest near his village, he stumbled upon an old dusty book lying beneath a tree. The cover was decorated with shimmering scales, and the title read, "The Secret Path to the Land of Dragons." Eddie's heart raced with excitement as he opened the book. Inside, he found a map that promised to lead the way to the fabled land of dragons. Without wasting a moment, Eddie decided to embark on this grand adventure. He packed his backpack with some snacks, a water bottle, and his trusty slingshot, just in case he encountered any trouble. He also brought along his dog, Max, a loyal and mischievous beagle who loved adventures as much as Eddie did. Following the map, Eddie and Max ventured deep into the forest. They crossed babbling brooks, climbed over fallen logs, and squeezed through dense thickets. As they walked, Eddie couldn't help but imagine what kind of dragons he might meet. Would they be fierce and scary or friendly and wise? After a few hours of hiking, Eddie and Max reached a clearing where they saw a peculiar-looking tree with bright blue leaves. According to the map, this was the entrance to the secret path. Eddie took a deep breath and pushed aside the branches, revealing a hidden trail that seemed to glow with a faint, magical light. As they walked along the path, Eddie and Max encountered all sorts of magical creatures. First, they met a group of giggling fairies who sprinkled them with sparkly dust, making Eddie sneeze and Max bark in surprise. Then, they came across a talking squirrel who insisted on telling them jokes. "Why did the dragon sit on a gold coin?" the squirrel asked. "Because he wanted to make a little change." Eddie and Max couldn't stop laughing. Further down the path, they met a wise old owl named Oliver. "Who are you, young traveler?" Oliver hooted. Eddie introduced himself and explained his quest to find the land of dragons. Oliver's eyes twinkled with amusement. "You're on the right path, Eddie. Just remember, dragons are not always what they seem. Keep an open mind and a brave heart." As the sun began to set, Eddie and Max finally reached the end of the trail. Before them stood a massive stone gate, covered in ancient runes and guarded by two stone dragons. Eddie felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He took a step forward and the stone dragons came to life. "Who dares to enter the land of dragons?" one of the dragons rumbled. "It's me, Eddie, and this is my dog, Max," Eddie replied, trying to sound brave. "We come in peace and seek to meet the dragons." The stone dragons exchanged glances and then stepped aside, allowing the gate to open. Eddie and Max walked through and found themselves in a breathtaking valley filled with colorful flowers, sparkling streams, and most importantly, dragons of all shapes and sizes. Eddie's eyes widened in awe as he saw dragons with scales of every color imaginable. Some were as small as birds, while others were as large as houses. There were dragons with wings like butterfly wings, dragons with long serpentine bodies, and even dragons with multiple heads. Suddenly, a friendly-looking dragon with emerald green scales and golden eyes approached them. "Welcome to the land of dragons. My name is Drago, and I am the guardian of this valley. What brings you here, young adventurer?" Eddie explained how he had found the map and his dream of meeting dragons. Drago listened attentively and then gave a hearty laugh. "Well, you've certainly come to the right place. Let me show you around and introduce you to some of the other dragons." As they walked through the valley, Drago introduced Eddie and Max to many dragons. There was Fiona, a gentle dragon who loved to paint beautiful landscapes with her fiery breath. Then there was Sparky, a tiny dragon who could light up like a firefly and loved to play hide-and-seek with the other dragons. And there was Grumble, a grumpy but lovable dragon who had a soft spot for delicious snacks. One of the most fascinating dragons they met was Professor Scales, a wise old dragon who loved to read and collect books. "Ah, fellow book lover," Professor Scales exclaimed when he saw Eddie. "I have a vast library filled with stories from all over the world. Perhaps you'd like to visit it sometime." Eddie was thrilled and eagerly accepted the invitation. As they continued their tour, Eddie realized that the dragons were not only magical but also kind and friendly. They shared stories, played games, and even taught Eddie how to fly on a dragon's back. Max, meanwhile, had made friends with a playful dragon pup named Puff, and the two of them were having the time of their lives chasing each other around. As night fell, Drago led Eddie and Max to a cozy cave where they could rest. The cave was warm and comfortable, with soft mossy beds and glowing crystals that provided a gentle light. Eddie felt a sense of wonder and happiness. He had found a place where magic was real, and dragons were his friends. The next morning, Eddie woke up to find the valley bustling with activity. The dragons were preparing for a grand feast to celebrate the arrival of their new friends. There were tables filled with delicious food, from roasted marshmallows to giant fruit pies. Eddie's mouth watered at the sight of it all. During the feast, Eddie and Max entertained the dragons with stories from their village. Eddie told them about his adventures in the forest, and Max performed tricks that made everyone laugh. The dragons, in turn, shared their own tales and taught Eddie some dragon songs. As the celebration continued, Drago stood up and raised a claw for silence. "Eddie, you have brought joy and curiosity to our valley. As a token of our friendship, we would like to give you a special gift." Drago handed Eddie a small, shimmering dragon egg. "This egg will hatch into a dragon who will be your lifelong friend and protector." Eddie was overjoyed and thanked Drago and the other dragons for their kindness. He knew that this adventure had changed his life forever. As the feast came to an end, Eddie and Max realized it was time to return home. They bid farewell to their new friends, promising to visit again someday. With a heart full of memories and a dragon egg in his backpack, Eddie followed the secret path back to his village. When he arrived, the villagers were amazed by his tales of the land of dragons. Eddie became a local hero, and everyone eagerly awaited the day when his dragon would hatch. Eddie's adventure to the land of dragons had taught him that the world was full of magic and wonder, just waiting to be discovered. And as he drifted off to sleep that night, he dreamt of flying on dragon wings, with Max by his side, ready for the next adventure. And so, Eddie and Max's journey to the land of dragons became a legend in their village, inspiring other children to dream big and believe in the magic that lies beyond the horizon.